Oh boy, we got a good one today. Well, look, welcome back. This is the Odd Couple Costa Rica channel. Hey, this is going to be an awesome one. But before we get started, Mike, how was your week, man? Costa Rica is always an adventure.
Well, I got to tell you, Alan, thanks for asking. It was a bumpy ride this past week. I'm not going to get into it. I made a little video last night about a little couple bumps, but we're all good. You know, we rebound good here. When things happen, we tend to go with the flow, you know, and rebound. I'm rebounding. I'm good now. Today's good. All is good.
I agree.
What about yourself? What about yourself?
Well, for me, it really is an adventure because I'm very, very remote, and we've had the weirdest weather, and so because it's been so weird, we get a good hard rain. Well, you end up with a landslide. Well, you live this far out, the city's not going to come clear. So me and maybe 4 or 5 ticos, we out there swinging a shovel all day, and we might move 2 or 3 truckloads of dirt in order to clear this road out. Now, here's what's funny. I'm the gringo. I'm not rich by no means, but most of these ticos don't have a lot of tools, and they're coming over there with wore out shovels. And man, look, I'll bring a pickaxe, and I'll bring shovels, and I'll bring sledgehammers, and we're busting rocks, man. So I'm bringing a ton of tools. And look, I get ready to work. I put my gloves on, and every time I put my gloves on to go to work, man, these ticos snicker and laugh at me, and like real men don't wear gloves, And I don't say nothing about it, but for me, it's kind of like what we're doing today. Really, who we are today, in most part, is because of our past, what we've learned in our past. And look, in my past, if I worked all day long without gloves, I'd have blisters. And look, banging them rocks, I'd bust my fingers up. So you know what? If a real man don't wear gloves, let's find out at the end of the day when I pull my gloves off and my hands look good and you're all beat up. Well, let's find, don't complain that you're hurting. So, but that point brings me to this. Today, we're going to find out all about Michael Allen. Last week, we found out all about me. What makes me tick? What about my past? Who made me who I am today? Guess what? We had tons of amazing comments. If you didn't see that video, you need to be sure to watch that video. And look, if you got a question for me and you're watching from Michael's channel, you need to put those questions on my YouTube channel if you want me to answer. Same thing today. We're all about Michael and who he is. What happened?
Well, let's get to it, damn it. Why are you talking so much? Let's get to me. Why are you talking so much? Get to me. This is all about me today.
It's all about Michael. So let's get on it, because you know what? We had great comments, but we had one bad comment or a couple of bad comments. And the comments like, dude, you don't wear gloves. And because you don't wear gloves, I ain't watching your channel no more. That's not what he said. What he really said is, hey, that God stuff will drive me off your channel. Well, dude, the whole reason you're here is not because of my past life or Michael's past life. It's all because you will get the best information about Costa Rica than anywhere else in the world. No lie about that. So let's get on it. Are you ready, Michael?
I am, and I would just give advice to anybody that says things like that. We're all on our own path, damn it. And, you have to accept where other people are. It's not your job to judge their path if it's working for them. So let's start there. I do want to say 2 things. I don't know where you're going to go with the questions, and maybe what I'm about to say doesn't apply, and maybe it does. I would like to say, no matter what I say, I am not blaming anybody for my life. I take full responsibility. Like if I say something, let's say about my parents or something, my parents did the best they could. So I hate the victim mentality. I don't blame the school. I don't blame the way I was brought, anything. That's one. It might get awkward if people don't know this. My daughter died in New Year's Eve on 2019 of an accidental opiate overdose. She got fentanyl. 100,000 people die of that every year now, but it happened to my daughter. I just didn't want it to get awkward with maybe some questions that come up later or something. I wanted to put that out there so, it doesn't get awkward. So anyway.
All right. Well, let's get into it. And remember, hey, whether I wear gloves or I don't wear gloves and Michael does, hey, the important thing is we respect one another and, we have fun. And the reason you're here is to learn about Costa Rica, learn a little bit about us and what makes us tick. So, hey, you know what? Since who we are today is for the most part of our past, let's start with who you are today. Okay. So, um, let's talk about who you are today. And since this is about living in Costa Rica, tell me, why did you decide that you was going to live in Costa Rica when you could have really gone to any other country in the world? Why Costa Rica?
Well, I didn't really pick Costa Rica, just the circumstances that came about in my life where it was at. And this will all make sense if I do tell the story of, maybe starting from more of the beginning. But it was an opportunity that made itself available. And at the time, it was this perfect storm of where my life was at that time. And it was almost like a why not? I went into it with extreme naivety. And that's probably why we made it, actually. Kind of like you guys. We didn't really do a whole lot of checks and balances. A lot of people know the story. I got pretty well deceived and kind of, let's say, ripped off from my naivety. But I just went with the flow here, and we made it happen. And again, I've told people we were very close to living under a freeway here, but we just kept pushing. But I never literally said, hey, I want to live abroad to Costa Rica. It was very similar to what happened to you guys. An opportunity made itself available. It was like, hey, why not? In my life where I'm at right now, it almost makes sense. And D'Angelo, my partner at the time, we went with it. That's how we got out here. So.
Okay. Well, we will probably hear the rest of that story as we go in, but I want to talk about the present time of why we're in Costa Rica. So tell me, since hey, you've been here stinking 18 years, right?
I'm getting old, dude. I'm getting old.
Okay. So over 18 years, what is your most favorite thing about living in Costa Rica?
My most favorite thing is probably the thing I don't like it the most. So there's kind of maybe a curse and a blessing. I love the fact that Costa Rica does that simple life and gives me the backdrop to do what I want to do, because I believe that money is not the commodity we should be, reaching for. I believe it's time, and I love my time. I can fill my time however I want, and Costa Rica just gives this Pura Vida, beautiful, natural setting to live the life maybe that you kind of do dream about. And it took me a while to come to that realization, but I love the backdrop of my life. I love that Costa Rica is here. The nature of it, the attitude of it, the people here's attitude of kind of flying under the radar, on the grid, off the grid. Nobody's really that judgy, and if they are, it's behind it. I don't know about it. They treat you right, basically, regardless of what they think about you. And again, it lets me do what I want to do, which is a time thing. Unfortunately, that's also worked in my life as a curse. So we talk about that later. But I embrace the Pura Vida now. I didn't used to, really. I didn't. I'm not enlightened. I don't know if you're ever really truly enlightened. I'm just going to say I'm closer. I'm closer now than I ever have been. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Well, I completely agree with you. I can't say I'm Pura Vida yet, but hey, like you, I love this country for what you said. So now that we know your favorite thing, tell me, what is the hardest thing about living in Costa Rica? Because, hey, obviously, if it's the hardest thing for you, it could be the hardest thing for a lot of other people as well. So the hardest thing for you about living in Costa Rica?
Being an alcoholic, a hard party guy, a very self-reflective person that likes to beat themselves up. And Costa Rica gives you that time to make you feel even worse about yourself. So it can work in reverse. You can have the time when it's like almost falling into a beautiful abyss, because I'm not around really friends or family here. If things go south, there's not a whole lot of support. You're kind of dealing by yourself. And if you get caught up in your head, like I frequently do, I can't really trust my mind to make good decisions for myself. So as much as it can provide the positive aspects of that, I can also go extreme. That's the worst thing about being me. I have a spectrum that's so large. I can go way over here and I can go way over here. And when it's great, it's great. But when it sucks, it overwhelmingly sucks you in and can spit you out. And if you cannot deal with it, you know, it's not fun. That's all I can say. So I would say that's always been my struggle. And luckily, I'm at a good place now. But boy, took a minute.
I agree with you. And so if I understand what you're saying, you know, you can have a whole lot of time, but if you don't find some constructive ways to use your time, it could have you spiraling in the wrong direction. So
that's exactly now take what you just said and times that by 100. That's right. Where I've been there, wow. You know, a lot.
Okay, so now that we know that, now this question is in two parts, but I only want the first part. So any regrets deciding to live in Costa Rica? We're going to talk about some other regrets later, but I want to know any regrets on deciding to live in Costa Rica?
Oh, I got it. That's a resounding no. I've never looked back. There was no, that's why I'm here, because that's not an option. That's not a plan D or an E or an F. I'm making it here no matter what. And trust me, we had the trials and tribulations. You know, we had to conquer the dragon along the way numerous times. And what I just talked about was one of the dragons. But but leaving with my tail between my legs and I didn't make it. No, that's just not an option for me. Now, I love Costa Rica, so it wouldn't even, that never came on my radar as the answer to your problems is to leave, ever. Even in the darkest. It was more like I'll leave Costa Rica in a other way, but I wouldn't leave back to the United States. So I love Costa Rica. I should be dying here unless something, you know, goes wrong.
All right. Okay. So this is all about Costa Rica, but now let's kind of get a little bit into your personal life, but I want to know about your personal life today. So, these questions are going to be pretty basic. You can probably answer these questions pretty quickly. So real quick, if I were to ask your closest friends, hey, describe Michael in 3 words, what do you think they would say?
Oh, what would they say?
What would they say? It might not be the same as the 3 words you describe yourself. What would they say?
Oh, no, everybody talks about you behind your back. They would never describe you as I would describe myself. Although, you know, it's funny. Whatever they say about me is probably true. That's the problem.
That's why I asked. What do you think your friends would say?
Oh, wow. I don't know, man. At one time, they probably would have just said, well, he's a drunk, but he's a hard worker. That's the thing that throws everybody off. Even when I was at my worst, I've always been a hard worker. I've always taken responsibility that way. I might be, you know, passing out on the floor, but I'm paying my bills, if that makes any kind of sense. I know it's strange. Okay. Some people might, if you can't handle me, which I would say I can come across maybe arrogant to people, which could be true, I guess. I wouldn't describe myself as, I don't think I'm that at all, but I think other people might. I'm a little, you got to be on your game when you talk to me, man. I don't suffer fools gladly. So if you're going to say something, you know, you better be able to back it up. But I don't get mad like that. I don't get mad. I don't get angry, but you know, those days are over. But if you're going to press me, if you're going to say things that, you know, I disagree about, you know, I'm probably going to push back on you a little bit. So some people might find me confrontational might be a word they would use.
Okay. Drunk.
Go ahead.
Drunk, arrogant, and confrontational.
No, crazy. Probably a little crazy.
Arrogant, hardworking. Okay. So now what we believe your friends might say, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Well, I do want to say I don't have very many friends, dude. Let's put that out there real quick. I have no super close. I have just a couple people that I would call. I have a million acquaintances, dude. Acquaintances isn't the same thing. Friends, I know when your mom's birthday is and that kind of thing.
I agree.
I don't use that word loosely. A friend to me is somebody I'm taking a bullet for, and there's only a few of those.
All
So
right, I agree. I agree.
I would describe myself as sensitive, disciplined, and probably a little unbalanced.
Okay. That sounds good. I would say I would agree with you there.
Well, I don't know if it sounds good, but
All right. All right. So, real quick here before going to the next question here.
oh wait, stop. You know, I want to say something. Let me go back. I just saw a word that I think even the people that don't care for me, I do think I would be seen as honest. I said this in a video last night. If you don't, I have never ever abused the people that watch my videos. I am an advocate to give out information. I have never compromised. I have never sold out ever. Matter of fact, at my own expense, I've lost tons of money, tons. I've left so much money on the table because I am. So I think even the people that don't really care for me probably would say I have integrity in the honesty department, I think. Thank you for saying, Emery, I see that on yours. So I don't know if I didn't even read the whole thing, but I saw that word, and I think it applies to me now, especially.
Well, real quick here, Johnny says your friend needs to fix his mic, and I don't know. Well, he must be talking about me. I have no idea. So, hey, folks, let us know in the comments there whether the audio sounds even, level, or I'm too low, he's too high, whatever. Okay, and I'm going to go on to the next question here. So, okay, so we know what how you explain yourself in 3 words, but what would be your favorite quote? What do you live by? What is your favorite quote?
Well, I tell you what, this is probably something people don't know about me. I love quotes. I have been keeping quotes right. I've been keeping a journal since I was 14. This is my latest. These are all quotes I write down. And I've done this all my life. I actually think of a lot of quotes myself. But the 3 that would stand out for me, I mean, I've got a million. I love a lot. But I would say the ones that describe the way I think are probably 3. One is, we are large and we contain multitudes. That's Walt Whitman, I think, in Leaves of Grass. I really love that quote. And another common one, I'm going to throw some Latin your way, dude. Homo sum humani nihil a me alienum puto, which means nothing human is alien to me. And the other one is on my arm, memento mori, which I think a lot of people misunderstand. Memento mori means remember that you're going to die. Now, death is not a future thing that you do. You die every day. And what it's telling you, memento mori is telling you, you better live your life every day. Every day when you go to bed, did you do the best you can? That's what memento mori really means. It doesn't mean to go, well, you know you're going to die in 20 years, so maybe you should plan on it. No, you're dying all the time. Every day you're marching towards death, so you need to live, and remember that. So those 3, and I'm large, I contain multitudes. That's why almost anything that somebody would say about me probably has truth to it. Any word, if you want to attach it to me, I'm sure there's something in my life that could make that word true, good or bad. So, and then all that human stuff. So I have a very good understanding of people. It's my background. It's what I'm passionate. I love philosophy stuff. So nothing human is alien to me. I understand literally everything. Anything somebody says or does, I get it. I totally have an understanding and an empathy for the human condition. And so I love those 3 quotes will probably be my biggest I like.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a long answer. That was a long answer for a simple question.
Okay. Well, hey, I do a little journaling myself, and I always think journaling is great. It gives you a way to look back and reflect on what happened before. So I keep a small journal myself. So besides journaling there, how about what would be your favorite book or favorite movie? What is your all-time favorite movie?
You know what? Like everything in my life, I like everything, dude. I love drama. The only thing I really don't care for is total like fart joke comedies. He farted. I don't like that. I love comedy. and I love comedians and all that kind of stuff. I love dramas. I love it all. But the movie that speaks the most for me, but it's deeper than really the movie, is Gladiator. I've watched that movie probably 20 times. The conquering hero, conquering your dragons. The story of life is difficult. It's about suffering. You got to do things, make decisions, all that. For some reason, I watched Gladiator. And now, what's the other one? Well, anyway, about Gladiator, for some reason, in the last 2.5 years, I've probably watched that movie 20 times.
Wow.
Shawshank Redemption's up there. I really like Shawshank Redemption. I got a lot of favorites, but I would say that Gladiator speaks to me, even though it's kind of, blood and gore a little bit. But if you go for the deeper meaning of like the conquering hero and the bad things that happen in your life and how you respond to them, and the human condition, I don't know what it is. It might even be the music at the end, But if anybody's seen that movie, I don't know. I just like Gladiator. I don't know why.
Well, see, I haven't watched that one, but now I want to go watch it so I can.
Wait a minute! It won an Oscar back in 2000. Come on, you didn't see that?
No, but I'm a little bit strange. I don't hardly ever watch that much TV. I don't watch no TV, but I like to watch a good movie. So now I'm going to go watch that movie. So what about books? I mean, I love to read, but I don't have time to read anymore. You got a favorite book?
Well, I'm an avid reader, actually. Not so much now, I got to admit. But I'm a big philosophy nut, so they tend to be philosophical in sense. I would say by far my favorite book is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. It's just about kind of morals and guy's going to kill somebody. It's got a lot of social messaging around the story. It's just not like a story to be a story. But Dostoevsky is probably my favorite author. He's got quite a few books I like. But if I had to pick, which is very difficult for me because I've read a lot of books, we'll say, I would have to go with Crime and Punishment.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me something. Let's go a little deeper into the inside of you. Hey, tell me, are you religious? Are you spiritual?
Well, religion, I was brought up a little bit in the Baptist church, but we weren't like super churchgoers. My dad didn't go to church, but, I went to vacation Bible school. And since I like philosophy, I've studied most religions, and I do have a favorite. I like to take pieces and parts of everything. I really love Buddhism for a bunch of reasons. I mean, if you want to talk about it, we could, but I don't think we've really got time. I love Buddhism. I love people like, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I like Stoicism. I like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, these people that teach responsibility, kind of keep your emotions down and deal with things and be compassionate to people and, carry a life of be a man, damn it, in a sense. But it's not just to men. But so I love Stoicism, responsibility, Buddhism. I like the connection of everybody. I do believe that life is suffering, and I think it is brought on by our desires. And I do think we got to conquer those desires. And there's ways to do that. Buddhists would tell you meditation, but I love religion, man. I just don't think there's one. I think there's many paths to the place you want to go. And okay. I think, whatever speaks to you is where you've got to go. It just so happens like every freaking thing in my life, I like them all. I can find good in all religions to some degree. And then I did that when I was a dick and I started reading, I was like a big atheist, and I would start arguments with people like you just to show my prowess. And but I'm not like that anymore. I don't believe that. I think you have to respect other people's. You don't have to like them, whatever. You don't have to agree with them, but you know what? It's their path, man. Who am I? If God helps you, go to do that. I don't care where it is. Do you treat people right? That's what I want to know. Do you treat people right?
Absolutely.
And other than that, everything's up between me and whatever I'm talking to, really. So yeah, I love all that stuff. I'm not a team player like that where I back any one religion, right. I guess.
Well, that's good because, I said last week, I hate religion. I've been hurt by religion, but I love God. But hey,
There you go. There you go. That's it. I mean, you know, does
You
it
know,
work?
so
Does it work
yeah,
for you?
it works for me. So guess what? I'm not telling you you gotta do it. If you don't like it, and if you don't like God, I don't care less. You know, it's your life. It's like it's your path. And hey, I respect your path. So hey, well, let's go reverse of that because a lot of religious people well don't believe in this next question. What is your astrology sign? Or
You
do
know,
you even
it's
believe in that?
you know, it's funny. You know, when I remember my quote was, "We are large, we contain multitudes." I think that's why astrology works because the thing is, you can be you're everybody in anything at any given time, and that's why people I think believe in astrology. You know, they did a test. I don't know if you ever heard this. A college professor, he had 20 students, and he's asking each student, you know, what's your sign? What's your sign? And he's rifling through some papers, and it's all these. Okay, you're a Libra, so here's your attributes. And so he went around the class, gave them each according to their sign, and he asked everybody. They read over their attributes to their any given sign, and he goes, so how accurate are those pieces of paper to your sign? And I think, let's say 19 out of 20 people raised their hand. Yes, these are accurate. He gave everybody the same one.
Ah,
So that's why I think it gets confusing because I think you can say anything about anybody. You could say, Alan, I see love in you. And you're gonna be like, yeah, I see that. You know, so I have a problem with astrology and that kind of concept. That way, I am an Aquarius, and now that I said all that, the attributes that they contribute to associate with Aquarius, I kind of agree with. But I can't. That means it almost to me. It means like I have no free will, so I can't accept it. I can't accept the stars guiding me. I'm sorry. It's just not in my brain. Now, if the stars guiding you works, hey, go there. I'm fine with that. We are made of stardust after all. But I'm just saying for me, I have to, in my brain, I have to have more control. I have to have control. Don't tell me I can't do this or do that. Don't say, well, you're an Aquarius. You shouldn't be thinking like that or something. No, dude, I can't. I don't do that. So I'm an Aquarius, and it's fun. It's kind of interesting and fun to look at, hey, how am I supposed to be today? You know, it's cool.
okay.
And, you know, so that's it.
Okay. All right. So now that we've gotten a little bit about you, tell me what would be your number one superpower? If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Well, like everything in my life, my curse is my blessing, I guess. My superpower is probably self-reflection. I have. You can never say anything bad about me that I don't already know. So that's why I can make YouTube videos. You can say whatever you want about me. It doesn't faze me. I'm very self-reflective on who I am and what my issues are and my problems and, you know, whatever it is. So I'm very self-reflective. The problem with that is my curse about being self-reflective is I take it too far, you know, so it's hard to get right sometimes with myself because I don't know, it's all about that, you know, loving yourself and, you know, not feeling you measure up. So sometimes I get caught up in my head and you know, in the darkness, and I maybe take the self-reflection to degrees it doesn't need to go. And I would say my other superpower probably is what I mentioned before is understanding. I think I have a lot of empathy for people and their situations and humankind, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So we've heard a lot about who you are presently. Just two more questions before I really take you back, okay? Because I'm interested to go back to what's made you today. So real quick, who or maybe what thing or person do you look up to as a mentor? What is it? What is that one thing or a person or thing that aspires you to be who you are?
Well, that just goes back to philosophy type stuff. I mean, I like, you know,
You
Leonardo
don't
da
have
Vinci.
one mentor?
No, I mean, you know, it's funny. We'll go back a little bit. You know, my dad was of the eight, of that time. And it almost was the opposite. I think I learned more how I didn't want to be than how I wanted to be with him. I've had people obviously help me along the way, but nobody really super sticks out. I'll tell you what my mentor was. Reading was I did not understand you had options, man. I did not. Now, I'm not cutting on the Bible at all. I'm just saying this is what happened to me. I thought all the answers were in the Bible. And I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying the way I was thinking at the time. Here's the book. Read it. And there is no other questions anymore. There is no questions because all the answers are here. You don't need to read anymore. That was my thinking. But I started reading, and I remember the book that was influential to me. I think it's shit now, but it's called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. And I got it. That kept leading me down this path of philosophical thinkings. I just started going, wow, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. The Bible still made sense too. This makes sense. Buddhism makes sense. This philosophy, Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, all these philosophers, I was like, wow, it just opened up my mind. I just didn't even know that those things, even that kind of thinking existed, or those pathways were even there. So I would say, I know it's a crazy answer, but I would say reading was my mentor. It just opened up everything for me, because we might get into a little bit. I was a terrible student for a lot of reasons. But so I started just reading, and one philosophy book led to another one. And I was like, wow, how cool is this? But the problem with that is it's like a menu that's too many pages. Now, okay, who am I? I agree with almost all of this in parts and pieces. I almost, to this day, I almost wish I didn't read all that stuff. I wish I was just like, hey, man, it's this, that's it. No question. This is all the answers. You don't got to do that. So I'm almost jealous that, like, say, for instance, you found your answer. You found your path. I'm jealous that I go from path to path and return and back and forth. And it sucks, dude. It sucks.
Okay. So
sorry about that.
No, but it sounds like to me that your mentor was reading. So really your mentor was gaining knowledge, and all of that knowledge showed you all this different stuff to help you to become who you are. And that's everyone needs knowledge, right? So I think that's great.
Well, I mean, it is to a degree, but I wish I could make it a little bit more black and white. But I've been so gray and live in the gray so long, I don't even know what black and white looks like anymore. I wish some of the things in my life were black and white. My problem is I just don't think like that, and it creates havoc, dude. It creates a chaos. It's at times very hard to keep down.
Okay. Well, now that you've said that, is the last question I got about who you are right now. If there was one thing you could change about yourself, what would that one thing be?
Well, I wish I wouldn't have had zits as a kid, and I wish I had bigger calves. But I would say, I don't want everyone to get sad about this, because we're all on our own path, right? Our own journey. I wish I could love myself more. I wish I could find it in my heart to forgive myself maybe a little more. And yeah, if I would change something, it would be that, because I think that would be a nice change in my life.
Okay. All right. So like I said earlier, we are today largely of who we were in the past, or what happened to us in our past. So I want to kind of go back to your past. I want to go back to your earliest childhood memory. You were born way back in 19 whatever. What is your earliest childhood memory? When were you born?
I have a good one, and I don't know if it got good over the years, and I've changed my memory. But so I was born in 1960, and when I lived in Washington D.C., and my first memory, I kid you not, was my family at the time, we were at John F. Kennedy's funeral procession, and I remember seeing the horses. I remember seeing.
How old were you at that time?
I was I would have late threes, like I was going to be 4 in a few months. So I remember that I had to pee, and I remember the horses and the coffin. Obviously, I didn't know what was going on, but I do remember that. I'm thinking about it right now, but I don't know if that started just taking over maybe some other memory, but about 3.5, a little older than that. And it was John F. Kennedy's funeral procession in Washington, D.C.
Interesting. Okay. Well, tell me, what was your early family like? Okay, so growing up, I mean, let's say before your teenage years, what was family like? What was your family life like? Tell me about your siblings, your school, your upbringing.
All right, so I think I was like a lot of people back in that day. At about 5 years old, from 20, for about 15 years, I lived on the same street. All right, so I got 2 brothers, one older, one younger. I'm definitely the black sheep. They were nerds, love them to death, but they're the math people. They're the quiet people. All the teachers that had my older brother would say, why can't you be like him? My dad, if anybody's seen I don't know if it was HBO or whatever, if anybody's ever seen Mad Men, my dad was that. He was an engineer at a place called Bell Labs, which was a big engineering place back in the day. And he was very secretive, very moody, brooding, good looking. I know he was a player actually too. My mom was a homemaker, trying to keep the family together. My dad could be quite mean when he got that way. Now he also coached my baseball teams, right? So, but this is back in the day, man. This is when you're home by 5. If you're not home by 5, you're not eating. You're on your bikes. You're going to construction sites. You're throwing rocks at other neighborhood kids. You're playing football out in the street. You're going to other neighborhoods and playing games with no adults, 0 adults. We were Lawrence Welk family on Sunday night. We didn't watch Hee Haw. We watched Lawrence Welk because my dad looked like, I don't even know how I remember this. There's these dancers on there called Bobby and Sissy. My dad looked like Bobby. So maybe that's why we watched Lawrence Welk. We watched All in the Family. You watch TV together. It was just that time. You didn't wear a helmet riding your bike. You got hurt. My mom and dad didn't even realize how far we could get on our bikes and the trouble we could get into. But the stuff you learned, all the social stuff you learn problem solving. What are you gonna do when somebody calls you a little queer? They used to call you a fruit or something. You start crying. What are you gonna do? You're gonna walk away. You're gonna go home. You're gonna fight. You're gonna continue to play. So you learned everything: how to deal with frustration, anger, how to make friends, social skills out the ass, which is all that stuff is lacking today. So I loved that time that I grew up. And our friends, we were the same friends. Most people lived on that same street for the whole time in their school life. The problem was I was terrible at school. I was on Ritalin from a very young age. If anybody knows what Ritalin is, it's very much like Adderall, which is the drug today. So this quick story sums up how I was in school and why I did terrible. I'm in 5th grade. And the real teacher of the classroom was out, and there was a student teacher in there, and she was having a problem, keeping the class under control. She said the next person that speaks out is going to get their mouth washed out with soap. And what? She goes, Michael, come here. She literally washed my mouth out with soap. After she did it, I said, I didn't taste nothing. And she did it again. So that pretty much explains. I was a nice troublemaker. I'm not bringing a gun in school, but I had a mouth. Obviously, I barely graduated with a D. I think during that time I got my mouth taped twice. I think over the course of school I got 7 whacks. One guy goes, "Hey, I'm going to give you 2 whacks. It's going to hurt, but let's go." So because I didn't learn the way they were teaching. I needed to touch things, feel things, see this. Things needed to make sense. So I guess I came across probably not the most smartest guy, but I was extremely creative. I was a drawer. I could draw. I could memorize spelling words. But, man, when it came to stuff analytical or things that did like geometry makes literally no sense to me. 0. I don't know. I don't care about X and Y and triangles and stuff. So again, I think I graduated with a D minus.
I agree.
And then so that whole home life, again, Mad Men, my dad, was a little rough. And, I had to hear a lot of arguments. I mean, usually most people's trauma come from their young life of sorts.
Right.
And I have those stories. I don't know if this would be the appropriate place, so I'm not going to do that. But, it was regular. You just dealt with it, I guess. And, that was my childhood. I was very sporty. I played all the sports, and I was good in all of them. Everything. I was better than average in every sport.
That's funny. I think our school years are almost exactly the same, except I didn't play any sports whatsoever. I worked the whole time. So that's interesting. I mean, it's funny. You didn't have a Game Boy. You weren't playing. You wasn't a gamer back then.
Go find something to do. Go find something. I'm bored, Mom. Go find something to do.
Get out there. You don't find something to do, I'll find it for you. So anyway, okay. So hey, so let's go to graduation day. You get out of you graduate. You barely get out of high school like I did. What happens after you get out of high school? What'd you do?
I had a pretty good job. My dad got me a job at Western Electric. It was pretty good money for a kid my age. But I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. So at 23 years old, I got married. And I married my ex, who I ended up being married for 20 years to.
20 years.
Yes. We weren't even dating when we married. And so there was two pivotal points in my entire life that changed all the course of my life. One happened when I was 27, and the other happened when I was 41. So what happened was I got married at 23. We had two kids we had no business having, but I worked like a dog. I had two jobs, but I was getting in a lot of trouble from 20 to 26. I was arrested quite a few times. Matter of fact, this sums up this. My wife used to say, Michael, we don't have bail money for you tonight, so don't get in trouble. Now, what happened was, so we're trying to raise kids. My wife went to nursing school. I'm trying to watch kids while I'm dead tired, all that. So, but when I was 26 years old, my wife saw this article in Time magazine about Father Flanagan's Boys Town, that Spencer Tracy, Mickey Rooney movie about this place called Boys Town, which used to take orphans. Well, they had this new program where they took people like, let's say me and my wife or a family, and you get this big house in Omaha, Nebraska. It's a place called Boys Town. It had 72 houses, high school, middle school, football stadium, medical, all that. But you had to take care of 9, fucked up kids. Let's just say what it was. So my wife saw this article, and so we wrote a letter to them and sent some pictures of our family. I would say 6 months later, our whole life changed. We packed it all up in our ugly ass trailer we had. We went to Omaha, Nebraska, Boys Town. And for the next 15 years, we had over 72 kids that lived with us. Most of them gangsters. My kids grew up with hardened black guys and Mexicans and crazy white dudes and this and that. And so we lived this life. So what it was, it wasn't foster care. It was a serious behavioral program, but so the whole community of Boys Town, everyone's doing the same thing. There was like 20 girls homes, and there was, 50 boys homes. But, they went to all those teachers, are working. We're all working together, doing this behavior mod basically to these kids. So it's in a family style living. So Boys Town provides this big house, a van, never ending money to get these, we carved pumpkins with them. We took them on vacation. It was a family. And over to 12 years, we had over 72 kids. So that completely changed our lives. Now we start accumulating a little money because there was no way, you didn't have to spend any of your own money. And then subsequently, Boys Town, this place, started little mini campuses around the United States. And that's how we got out to Las Vegas in 1991. So we helped them start their program there. So after we did this thing with the kids, I became an administrator there. And then I turned into everything I couldn't stand about administration. So I quit Boys Town. I started my own business. That was very pivotal. I started going into people's homes and working with their kids and
Wow.
guaranteeing you that I can change your kid. And if I can't, you get your money back. And then I would show them how to do it. So it was a very intense. I could be in somebody's house every day for a month, hand holding them until they got it right. I made quite a bit of money doing that, and I never had to give a refund. So my kids were brought up in that world. And then the other pivotal, I'll just keep going. The other pivotal time was in 2001 when my family and I were picked to be on a reality show. And it was like a Survivor with families. And I think a lot of people that's maybe watched me for a while kind of know this, but we won. And we won a really, really big house in Fiji in the South Pacific. And that's when the marriage broke down, the whole gay thing kind of, let's say jumped out of the closet. And that's when, after that, shortly in 2005, I came to Costa Rica with my then partner, D'Angelo.
Okay, so stop there. You're blowing my mind right here.
Sorry about that.
You're blowing my mind here. So I got to ask this question because this has been phenomenal right here. Okay, so this has been amazing. And no judgment here, okay, people, because, hey, that's his path. But it's amazing to me because, look, what you may not know is years ago, Survivor was the first reality TV show. And I wanted to go on Survivor. I actually sent a video and all that, didn't get picked. But you and your family stinking got picked. Reality TV show. You didn't only get picked, you won. Was married for 20 years. I gotta know. I just gotta know. You're married, 2 kids, 20 years. Everybody knows that you're openly gay. How do you go from what some people would say successfully married, making money, children, great job, to being gay? Were you always closet gay? Not. How did that happen?
No, I can tell you exactly. I would do it really easy. So when this used to come up more, and I used to answer it, I always answer it like this because it's. If I asked you, Alan, if I asked you when did you know you were straight, your eyes would go up like you're thinking, but in about 15 seconds you would say, well, I've always been that. Well, that's how I was. Now I can go back thinking after the fact. I can go back to 5 years old. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know it was called homosexuality or any of that. I just knew that, I don't know, I looked at that little boy different. And you find out very quickly in the way your parents interact and what you hear, you better shut up about it. Now, the thing is, this is going to sound weird to a lot of people. I'm not that gay. God gave me enough gay just to fuck me up, I guess. I don't know, but now a lot of people couldn't pull it off. I didn't have to fake marriage, really. But it does, eventually it just catches up with you. I had to go that route, and it was getting weird. My wife was going to gay bars with me at the end, and she just wanted to be involved. It just got so dysfunctional. I just said, we got to stop this because, again, now some people, just like everything, it's a spectrum thing. There's some, trust me, I've got gay friends that are like one step away from being girls, they're like women. But wow. there's also the macho. There's a, total guy. I just was never that gay, but I am. It's a very small part of me. I think it's like, I used to have brown hair. I have brown hair. Well, I happen to be gay, and I did live in that world. I must admit, I did jump out in that world. It was kind of fun for a time, but it doesn't really define much of who I am. But so what I used to tell my wife, when you're lying to yourself all those years, you don't tell somebody else the truth, So I apologize to my wife a lot of times, but our marriage wasn't a sham. I didn't have to fake sex with her, let's say. So we had. I don't regret. I would never say, "Well, I wish I would have started my gay life earlier." No, it happened the way it happened, and I don't have. That's not a regret. Now, my wife might say different, but she might have think we lived a lie. No, we had our ups and downs like any marriage, I guess. But if I look back, I was like, it was a serious adventure. And then when we won that house, it was this perfect storm of everything happening, because they went to live in that house for a while, and I was in Las Vegas. And again, my wife went to gay bars with me. My son has been, he used to be, he's a model. And so he used to be a model for a gay teenage magazine. So we taught our kids, even way before all this came, don't label yourselves, be who you are. We never gave them that kind of like, we didn't care. If you're gay, we don't give a rip. So we were always cool with all that, teaching our kids and stuff. So it was weird. And, again, I do feel bad that I was living a lie in respect to my own self. But again, when you're lying to yourself, you're not telling somebody else the truth either. So that's the only thing I can apologize for. But I don't know. That's it.
No, it's an amazing story. I mean, it sounds like to me.
I didn't choose it. I want to make that. I want to think. Just so you guys, I'm not saying you. I told you I like slogans and quotes. This one, I didn't choose gay, but I would have. Just to kind of put a little thing.
It's an amazing story. It sounds like to me, listening to this story, that you've had two extremely successful lives. Sounds like you had this successful life, being married and a reality TV show and finance, making money and helped hundreds of kids. It sounds like, okay. And now you got another life. You're living this second life where you're gay. You're in Costa Rica. You're having a phenomenal time. So that leads me. Now that we've gotten two parts of your life, tell me what drives you, what keeps you going, what keeps you getting up every day, what drives you?
I got to tell you, I got a feeling this. This isn't probably the answer you're looking for, because most of my adventures now are just, it's getting myself right these days. My work has always been, it helps me a lot. Keeping busy is very good for me. So I like to do that. But the thing that keeps me going, because if I didn't think this was true, I would probably have problems. What keeps me getting up at night is or in the day, is I know that everybody that has any sort of heart is just as screwed up as I am. All the motivational speakers, all the people that say, oh, life is great, that's crap. When you put your head on the pillow, your issues, your problems, your trauma, your earlyhood. I don't care what you project. In the darkness of your own room, when you're by yourself and thinking your own thoughts, you know who you are. You know your lies. You know what you do or how you portray yourself, and which causes stress and all those things. But what keeps me going is I used to think it was kind of just me a long time ago. Man, am I really this fucked up? But no, I know everybody is, if you're honest with yourself, we all got our stuff, man. And since we're all in this together, so I'm not, it keeps me focused on, hey, we're all on our path. We all got our issues. We all got our skeletons. We all got our mistakes. We all got our lies. We all got our deceptions. We all got and you try to fix that stuff and try to get as close to, let's say, God as you can, whatever that means to you. You try to get to that close part of it, and live that kind of life. And it's a struggle, and it's a struggle for everybody, whether you're Tony Robbins or a famous motivational speaker or not. We all go to school.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. If you didn't, for the people that are here today, if you didn't watch my story last week, you go watch it and someone would be like, it ain't no way in the world these two guys can talk to one another. They're the exact opposites, But hey, I was called to preach, and but I'm far from perfect. It's exactly what you said, Michael. When I lay on the bed, I know me. I know my messed up crap. We all have that same thing. So since we're all messed up, well, that one question I asked earlier about your biggest regret, and I said your biggest regret about Costa Rica. What is your biggest regret about life?
Oh, that's easy. I don't get to think about that. It's with my son, actually. There's two of them. So remember, we had kids in our house. Sometime in the beginning, 9 other kids and our own 2 kids. That's 11 kids. We're running a program that we're responsible for some really messed up kids and trying to show them the pathway. I mean, these were messed up kids. And again, their parents were messed up. We used to have 2 brothers in our house, and they had the same mother, but not the same father. One of their fathers killed the other father. So we had gangsters. We had a lot of things. Well, I would say there were times, man, if I could go back, this is the one I'd clean up. I feel my son thinks he was put on the back burner, and they were of more importance to me than he was. And he's right. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to make that up. There were times when I remember this one time, they all come home from school, and all these kids, I don't know, they gather around you, we're going over their day, and my son just walked right by me back to his room. And I could see the anguish on his face. It's like, wow, Dad, you care more about these guys than you care about me. And now, trust me, we lived 24/7 in the house. I mean, we didn't neglect our own kids, but I'm just telling you, there were times that I know my son feels like he was put on the back burner. And if I could take that back. And the other one concerning my son, which bothers me to this day, we put him in karate, all right? And his teacher, the second teacher, sensei he had, was hard, and he was a dick about it. He was kind of mean-spirited, but, I'm thinking how I grew up, and I'm thinking, well, this might be good for my son. And so, but my son's more, even I'm sensitive, but my son, I think at the time was more sensitive than me, and he did not, he recoiled. He didn't go, oh, you're going to treat me this way, I'm going to come back and show you. That was more me. I could do that. You could smack me around, and I'm going to give you more, militaristic. You get, but with my son, he doesn't respond to that. And he asked me to take him out of the class. I do think I talked to the sensei about him, and, to go, hey, dude, calm down. Because I watched him. He was kind of a prick. And I just regret not taking my son out of that class and listening to him, because, that stuff is, we all have that trauma, and it's like, it makes you feel bad about yourself, because I'm sure he looks back and he's probably going, I was a loser. I couldn't rise to the occasion of my dickhead sensei, and I didn't rescue him from that. I didn't protect him from that. And I should have known better. I worked with freaking kids, man. I should have seen that, yes, some people you can smack around, get better, Michael. And, you're going to rise to the occasion. And some people don't react to that. And he did it. But the bigger one was the first one, that I think he a lot of times felt he was on the back burner of Dad's affection and his attention. And wow. I don't know if I'll be able to make that up. I'm trying, but,
Yeah. Well, look, I agree. We all have regrets, and hey, I have a similar story with my son. I won't go into that, but anyway, we're closing in on the hour, and this has been a phenomenal story. Helps me to understand more about you, but at the end of the day, people come to our channel so they can learn more about living in Costa Rica. So I've got one final question before we wrap it up. Okay, amazing story, but what is after stinking 62 years of life, what is your proudest accomplishment?
Well, you can't say kids, right? That sounds so cliche. I would say, wow, this is going to sound so trivial, because really starting my business working with parents was probably my biggest. We were playing a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in Las Vegas. Just not professional basketball players, but it was a tournament where you got 3 guys got in this tournament. And the 2 guys I was playing with, I was decent, but they were the stars. I was just more defense, score when you can type of guy. And we were doing pretty good, and we didn't win or anything. But we were playing this team that had this guy, big black dude. Doesn't matter that he was black, but he was black. And he was pretty rough out there, to everybody. And we were watching people. He scared people. I don't know why this sticks out. But, man, I played him. I stuck with him. I pushed him as hard as he pushed me, squared up when he squared up. He tried to push me. I pushed him back. He didn't do shit. I had never felt so prouder because I was kind of like my son early on. You know, I was a bully and I got bullied, you know, so I know what it feels like to be punked. And when you stand up to those guys, and I was old, man, I was old, but I don't know why. I felt so good about that. I was like, yeah, now what, dude? It just felt good. It felt good to be like, yeah, come at me, because I'm not backing away. And for some reason, not an accomplishment, maybe a proud moment, but the accomplishment would be starting my own business. The accomplishment would having the balls to come out to Costa Rica, you know, starting this, what I do now, keeping going, I think is a huge accomplishment. And the other, I'm changing my answer, dude. Sorry, real quick. The biggest accomplishment is getting my mental state and my alcoholic state in order, and trying to get on the, you know, right thinking, and maybe a little bit more love for myself. So working in that direction, at least it's a little positive than it was before. So, because I could still, trust me, I'm disciplined, but discipline means I can, you know, go to the gym every morning at 5, but I can also drink every day, 29 beers. So I can be disciplined in both good and the bad. So the fact I'm on a decent trajectory now is, I would say, a pretty good accomplishment, because not everybody can get out of that 40-year hole of, you know, alcohol and, you know, whatever your thing is. So.
Right. Well, hey, wrapping this up, you know, I agree with you. That is an amazing accomplishment. I can see you've had several accomplishments in your life. You've had an accomplishment with your wife, children, helping tons of kids. That's a huge accomplishment to me. A great accomplishment is winning this reality TV show with your family. That's something they will remember for the rest of their life.
Go check it out, guys. It's on YouTube, man. If you type in Under One Roof reality show, you have to type all that in. Under One Roof reality show. You can see all 7 episodes. You're not going to like me in the beginning. They trust me when I tell you that they edit to make you a one-dimensional. Make you a one-dimensional character. At least that's what they did back then.
Yeah, they still do that today.
But we won.
That's awesome. All right. Hey, look, Michael, it is already a couple minutes out to the hour, but if you want to take on a couple of these questions people had, but I think we answered all of them. It's your show, buddy. Do you want to see if there's any quick questions, or you want to call it? Because this is a great show, great interview.
I'll answer a couple if they're there. If there's no questions,
okay,
I mean,
real quick. So, all right, there's if you've had a serious question that you wanted to ask Michael, I'm going to scroll through here and see if there's any questions that really people want to know. Okay, so real quick, if you got that question, throw it on there right now. I'm going to scan real quick and see. But people so far just absolutely loved it. Okay, but I think we answered. All of them, but I remember seeing some questions early on. Any questions? Do you have a question you want to ask Michael? Anything? He's an open book.
I'll just tell him my favorite color is burgundy. I love the color of wine.
All right. Well, hey, okay. What's going in the future vegetable garden? I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
I'm trying hard not to turn into a vegetable. That's what my goal is.
All right. Hey, it's been good. Next week, we're going to have another awesome show. Remember, if you have a question for Michael, you need to put it on his video. If you got a question for me, you got to go to my channel, put it there. It's been another episode. Can't wait to see you next time, next week. Same place, same channel.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you listening.